And so he sentenced Sean Combs to 4 years in prison. That's not as much as federal prosecutors here wanted. They wanted 11 years in prison, reminding the judge that Sean Combs has a penchant for violence and abuse.
Wait, so this is the non-lenient version of the sentencing? 4 years is the non-lenient one? Really?
That violence against women must be met with real accountability.
But he wasn't found guilty of violence against women. All the charges that include force, you found him not guilty of. So, I'm sorry, what's the message we're sending here? And he's gonna get one of those prisons that's got like a pool table, a media room, a swimming pool, fucking tennis court. Yeah, he's going to a resort with that he's not allowed to leave. It's not even a prison. Minimum security. Yeah, that's what I want to hear. Is he going to get credit for time served? All right, because realistically, here's the message that judge is sending. If you give him credit for time served, and he's eligible for parole, all right, he's already served 13 months on his 4-year sentence. So that right there knocks it down to 3. So he's going to get credit for the 1 year if he gets credit for time served. Now, in order to be eligible for parole, you've only got to serve 10% of your sentence. So realistically, he could be out in 90 days. If you guys haven't heard yet, Sean Diddy Combs Sean Diddy Combs was sentenced today. His trial is over. We have the verdict. And Sean Diddy Combs has been sentenced. Now I'm trying to decide which news report on it I want to watch. Do we want... Let's go with ABC. Let's see what ABC has to say about Sean Diddy Combs getting sentenced. What he's got, what this means, and what it realistically might look like. Let's see if we can break this down. Let's see if we can break this down. Get this up here. I can see it.
Afternoon, I'm Whit Johnson in New York. We're coming back
All
on
right.
the air
Tell us
because
about
the
Sean
judge
Diddy
has
Combs.
just sentenced Sean Diddy Combs to 4 years in prison. He was found guilty over the summer on 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution.
It is fucking wild. Racketeering conspiracy, not guilty. Sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, not guilty. Transportation to engage in prostitution, guilty. Sex trafficking by force, fraud, or prostitution again, or coercion again, not guilty. Transportation to engage in, so 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. So he transported the prostitutes to engage in prostitution, but it wasn't sex trafficking, even though you transported them for the purpose of sex, and you didn't do it by force. So I guess the lack of force is why he wasn't found for sex trafficking. I don't know how he didn't get racketeering and conspiracy. Like, that's the big one I thought they would have got. But instead, he gets 4 years. 4 years.
In connection with his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, and another woman, but was acquitted on more serious charges that could have sent him to prison for life. Let's get right to our chief investigative correspondent, Aaron Katursky, who's been following this trial from the beginning. He joins us from outside the courthouse in Lower Manhattan. So, Aaron, we just got the verdict right there. We know that Combs himself spoke to the judge. The judge responded. Lay out the sentencing here and what went down in the courtroom today.
She said he has to stay.
This was a very long sentencing hearing which Sean Combs himself, once larger than life, was left begging for mercy, standing at the defense table, telling the judge that he's a changed man, apologizing for his behavior. But that request for a lenient sentence of time served was rejected by the judge, Arun Subramanian, who said it was insufficient to send the kind of message that he wanted to send.
Wait, so this is the non-lenient version of the sentencing? 4 years is the non-lenient one? Really?
That violence against women must be met with real accountability.
But he wasn't found guilty of violence against women. All the charges that include force, you found him not guilty of. So, I'm sorry, what's the message we're sending here?
And so he sentenced Sean Combs to 4 years in prison. That's not as much as federal prosecutors here wanted. They wanted
No shit.
11 years in prison, reminding the judge that Sean Combs has a penchant for violence and abuse, pointing to 2016 hotel security video showing Combs attacking Cassie Ventura. Combs says he knows that video intimately. He apologized to Cassie Ventura.
Oh, well then it's all, well there you go. I mean, he apologized, so dragging a bitch by her hair down the hallway like a caveman. He said he was sorry, guys. You know, it's a one-time thing. No big deal.
The judge said 11 years was unreasonable, but 4 years is just the right amount, the judge said, to send a message to Sean Combs, to
And the message is, you'll get away with it.
victims of domestic violence, that their accounts will be taken seriously. Whit?
Aaron, thanks. Let's go ahead and bring in a trial attorney and ABC News legal
That it'll be taken seriously? It doesn't sound like you're taking it seriously.
contributor Brian Buckmeyer. Brian, we just heard Aaron lay out right there that the defense was hoping for 14 months in credit for time served. The prosecution wanted 11 years. So this is somewhere in the middle. Is this verdict what you expected?
Yeah, that's what I want to hear. Is he going to get credit for time served? All right, because realistically, here's the message that judge is sending. If you give him credit for time served and he's eligible for parole, all right, he's already served 13 months on his 4-year sentence. So that right there knocks it down to 3. So he's going to get credit for the 1 year if he gets credit for time served. Now, in order to be eligible for parole, you've only got to serve 10% of your sentence. So realistically, he could be out in 90 days if he's eligible for parole. From 4 years down to 90 days. But the judge wants to send a message that domestic violence will be taken seriously. For real, dude? I'm sorry. Your actions don't match your words here, Judge. Like, I don't think you understand the message you're sending. I think there's a disconnect here. Because this man could be walking free in under a year. Like 90 days max, if he's eligible for parole. What the fuck, man?
It actually was not what I expected, and this is why I say that. The probation report said...
No one expected this. Everybody thought this man was cooked. He, by all means, should be cooked. We all saw the evidence. We've all heard the stories. You raided his house. This should have been done and dusted. All I'm getting here is that if you're rich, you play by a different set of rules than the rest of us.
Anywhere from 70 to 87 months, much higher than the 50 months that the judge gave. And understand, and I'll try to break down the math as best as I can, the judge understands the math of how this all works. With 50 months...
Ooh, let's see how his math works out.
In the federal system, you only do 85% of that. So you take away about 8 months or so, that's 42 months. And don't forget that Sean Combs has already been sitting in MDC,
Yep, subtract another 13 for time served.
the jail here in Brooklyn, New York, for 13 months. So you subtract 13 months even from that, you're looking at something like 2 years, maybe 3 years at the end of the day. The judge knew that and still gave this sentence. I think if you're Sean Combs and his defense team, a hard day, but overall a win for them.
Yeah, a huge W for them, because you're already knocking it down to half just because of good behavior. If he behaves himself in there, if he gets good behavior, he gets time served. They haven't mentioned parole yet. I want to hear them mention parole, because if he's eligible for parole, this motherfucker's out in 90 days max. It's 10% of 50. I mean, that's 5 months. That's 5 months. So, and then you're knocking down for good behavior. You're knocking down for time served. So it's even less than that.
Okay, Brian, stand by for us. So let's bring in criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor and ABC News legal contributor Bernarda Villalona. And Bernarda, we've also saw today some emotional testimony. We saw numerous children of Sean Diddy Combs speaking before the court. Combs himself saying that he's a changed man. There was this video that they put together talking about Combs being a family man, his impact on the community. How much of that do you think made a difference here in the judge's decision?
Well, today was definitely Judgment Day
Motherfucker wielding his kids like a weapon in court.
for Sean Diddy Combs. So what the judge told Sean Diddy Combs was like, look, in terms of your life work, of all the good you've done, in terms that you're a great father, it doesn't erase what I heard and what I saw during this 8-week trial.
But it did erase 90% of the time you'll serve in jail, apparently.
And what he heard and saw during this 8-week trial was one of Sean Diddy Combs taking advantage of Jane and Cassie by being violent to them, taking advantage of their emotions, having them engage in several sex acts, either by drugs or alcohol or by the manipulation. And the judge sent a message that, yes, you have family, yes, you have people that love you, but Jane and Cassie were victims, and victims should be accounted for, and someone should speak for the victims and deter this type of conduct. And that's why the judge didn't go with the 14th month recommendation by the defense, but instead...
I'm sorry, 4 years is a deterrent? When you're not going to serve out the full 4? 4 years and you're eligible for parole and that's a deterrent? It's a slap on the wrist, man.
Instead handed down a sentence of 50 months, 4 years and 2 months, to show that this is accountability, this is deterrence, this is protecting the public, and this is what the verdict is going to be today. And when people remember Sean Diddy Combs, they know that he is a convicted felon sentenced to 50 months for his actions throughout a decade.
No, they're going to remember him as the guy that got away with it. That's what they're going to remember. That's what they're already saying. That's what I'm already seeing. Is he's the guy that proves that if you got money, you can get away with this shit. That's what they're going to remember.
On women.
And Aaron, this verdict today follows a 2-month trial, emotional, at times graphic testimony. We saw more of that play out today, at least the emotional part. But we can't forget the victims that were part of this. And there was some other color that played out in the courtroom today. Just walk us through some of the other things that we heard and what you saw.
It was a dramatic sentencing hearing, atypical of what we usually see here in federal court in Lower Manhattan. With the defense presentation lasted for hours. The defense called no witnesses during trial, but his attorneys, 5 of them, effectively acted as character witnesses for Sean Combs, talking about his achievements, how he's influenced them in the community. But
none of that makes it okay for him to beat women. I don't understand how this is a defense.
Judge said that a lifetime of good works cannot erase his other conduct, and federal prosecutors urged the judge to look at the Cassie video, to consider the violence he inflicted that they said was life-altering for women. Sean Combs himself grew tearful as he turned to his children to apologize for his conduct.
Grew tearful? What are you crying for, motherfucker? You got away with it. What are the tears? Fucking crocodile tears, man. What are you crying for?
Conduct. He told his mother, "You raised me better," and his children crowded around a microphone at one point.
He put on an Oscar-winning performance and got 4 fucking years. Rich people always get a slap on the wrist because they don't want to make those special accommodations for that person being jailed. They'd rather lock someone up who's selling drugs to support the... Yeah, like, he'll be out. I'm sorry. Like, this is not sending any kind of message. He put on some crocodile tears. He cried, claimed he was a changed man, and had that emotional moment with his kids and his mom. He's going to get 4 years. They're going to give him time served. He's going to get good behavior. He's probably going to get parole, and then he'll be out in 90 days. He'll be out in a couple months on parole with a supervised... you know, kind of house arrest thing, maybe. Like that's as bad as it's probably gonna get. Whoa! I mean, he's supervised now, and he's got to stay clean. Oh, fuck off.
Point, 6 of them, each pleading the judge for his immediate release. His daughters sobbing through their presentation to the judge.
Yeah, I imagine they are sobbing. They're probably shocked to learn their dad's a piece of shit. I would imagine any kid that finds out that their dad's a monster or a sex trafficker, or like I'm sure Jeffrey Epstein's kids cried too, man. It doesn't make him innocent.
Begging him to give their father a second chance to return him to the family. But you heard the judge say there was a need for deterrence, a need to show victims of domestic violence that their accounts will be taken seriously. That's why he said he imposed a 4-year sentence on Sean Combs. He also did something else, Whit. He added a $500,000 fine. That's the largest.
Oh, well, there you go. There you go. There you go. Instead of giving him more years, give him a fine because the state needs money. That's what happened. That's what happened. We'll shave off some time if you can pay some money. Because we gotta fund the we gotta fund these government programs, and you're rich and in our court system, so instead of giving you time in jail that we'll have to pay for, you can just pay us a bunch of money and you'll get out a little bit earlier.
Amount allowed by the law, but the judge again said it was part of the sum total of Combs's conduct. That's why he deserved it.
And Aaron, I just want to talk a little bit more about the atmosphere around the courtroom. We were looking at images of Combs' children coming in and out of the courthouse, also some helicopter pictures overhead of the crowds that have gathered there. I know throughout the 2-month trial, you saw plenty of crowds out there every single day as this played out. Talk more about the cultural impact here, because as a rap mogul, he touched so many different people in different ways.
Yeah, you're damn right he did. Dude, phrasing. I see what you did there. I see what y'all did there. Yeah, he did. He touched a lot of people in a lot of ways.
And the judge actually referenced that today when he was speaking to Combs.
He did, Whit, and he knows the cultural impact of Sean Combs, his pop culture icon status, his...
So you understand the cultural impact you're going to leave with this slap on the wrist sentencing too then, right? Like, you understand that, right? Right?
Celebrity, but he also knows what Sean Combs did. And though he was not convicted of crimes of violence, federal prosecutors convinced him that violence was part of his repertoire, repeatedly inflicting it on people like Cassie Ventura, on people like Jane, the pseudonym for another one of his girlfriends who testified here. There are hundreds of people who are out here in Lower Manhattan in front of the courtroom, many of them supporters who were hoping that they would see Sean Combs walk out of those golden doors of the courthouse a free man headed home to Miami, as he said he wanted to go to care for his children and his mother. Many others, detractors, who say that Sean Combs deserved to spend time behind bars because they, like the judge, could not be blind to the very conduct that they saw on that video from 2016 in the Los Angeles hotel, Combs attacking Cassie. When the sentence was handed down by the judge, Combs was sitting on his hands, expressionless.
And we know that Combs also submitted a letter to the judge the night before saying that he apologized. He's sincerely sorry for all of the hurt and the pain that I have caused.
All I can think is the fucking South Park skit where all the CEOs are apologizing. We're sorry. We're sorry. I'm sorry. Yes, I had parties. And they were fun. And I regret my actions. I'm sorry.
Others by my conduct. I take full responsibility and accountability for my past wrongs. Let's go back to Brian Buckmeyer because, Brian, we also know that there are a number of civil cases against Combs. Talk to us about the next steps, not only for Combs and how it relates to his time behind bars, but how these civil cases could play out.
Yeah, hopefully, like, maybe there'll be some fair sentencing in civil cases, because you're not going to make him pay for it criminally now. Like, this is done. There's no way he's seeing the full 4 years. He'll be out way sooner. This is a slap on the wrist, so, I mean, you can't make him see jail time. Maybe, at the very least, you can hurt his wallet, or these people can get fucking paid, I guess. I still haven't heard any mention of parole. So the fact that they're not saying Because if he was ineligible for parole, like, I feel like they would have said that up front. The fact that parole isn't even mentioned means he'll probably get parole, which means he'll be out in just a couple months.
Yeah, so for the civil cases, for the most part, I know that when Sean Combs was sentenced, the verdict came down in this case, there were some 60 civil cases that were paused, because for the most part, when you are facing both criminal and civil cases, you pause a civil because you make the argument that any testimony you give in a civil case could be used against you in a criminal case. That's no longer the issue. So those cases will now be unpaused and they'll proceed as they would have without this criminal case. But from a criminal standpoint, what I'd imagine is the defense are going to file their motions of appeal, making whatever kind of arguments in terms.
Oh yeah, true. And he could get reduced sentencing on appeal, which could put him out even sooner. He may not even see any jail time if he gets a good appeal. He gets time served and parole, and then gets and then gets a lesser sentence on appeal for some reason. He may not even see any jail time. This may get knocked down to just house arrest, to just parole or probation, whatever the case is. Released under supervision kind of thing. And that could be all he gets. He may not even see any actual prison time.
Of what the judge did or did not consider to come to this number. But for Sean Combs, he's going back to the Metropolitan Detention Center, or MDC, and he'll probably stay there for the coming weeks. I know these defense attorneys and the Southern District of New York, what typically happens is you're either going to be put in somewhere in Pennsylvania, upstate New York, or New Jersey. But if you do have family, and we saw a lot of mention of his mother who had surgery, she's 83 years old, I would imagine that Sean Combs would make a request to be somewhere close to his family, close to his mother, maybe close to his younger children, so that they can visit him frequently. There's going to be a push to try to have him in the best facility and probably the lowest level of security, a light or low level. And we saw mentions of that during the sentencing, that they didn't want certain facts to come in because they didn't want him in a maximum or even medium security prison. So those will be some of the next steps, both criminal and civil.
And Bernardo.
And he's going to get one of those prisons that's got like a pool table, a media room, a swimming pool, fucking tennis court. Yeah, he's going to a resort with that he's not allowed to leave. It's not even a prison. Minimum security.
From the prosecution's perspective here, obviously they didn't get the conviction on the more serious charges of racketeering and such that they initially went for. And then here they were asking for 11 years in prison. They get 4. How is the prosecution looking at this? And does this verdict send a message to sexual assault suspects?
Yeah, so when you're looking from the prosecution perspective, the prosecution is questioning, is this justice? For those victims, is this justice, this type of sentence, or even the
No, it is not.
Conviction being that Sean Combs was acquitted of the racketeering conspiracy
This judge is a fucking joke.
and the sex trafficking. You got to think that the prosecutor stands as the voice of the voiceless, the voice of those victims. And while they're not happy that they only got the conviction on the transportation to engage in prostitution, they still serve as that voice today when they represented the government and the people of the United States inside of that courtroom. So what message does it send, that 50 months, that time of sentence? I think the strongest message is the words that came out of Judge Subramanian's mouth, where he said and talked about these victims, how they were manipulated by Sean Combs, that they deserve a voice, that accountability is expected.
I haven't heard them speak at all. What's their voice? I'm sorry, the message being sent here is if you have money, the rules don't apply to you. You can just get away with it. That's the message that you just sent, Judge. That if you got money, we'll slap you on the wrist, give you a big fine, and you can pay your way out of jail. Instead of getting 10 years, 11 years like you should have, you can pay us a bunch of money, you can get minimum sentencing, and walk away a free man. That's the message being sent.
In this case, and that he will hand out accountability. It's not the 11 years that the prosecution sought, but still is an accountability in the sense that no matter how much money you have, you will still be held accountable in a court of law and will be.
Yes, and that accountability comes in the form of money. But the more money you have, the less actual accountability you get. You just get a bigger fine. I'm sorry, fines aren't accountability when you're rich. This judge is a joke.
Sentence according to the guidelines, so below the guidelines in this case.
Below the guidelines in this case. I love how she slipped that one in there too. You could tell like this woman does not agree with what she's having to say. She is fucking fuming inside. She's like, I can't fucking believe this shit. And now I gotta sit here and act like he's having accountability. She slipped that below the guidelines thing in there too to remind you that this motherfucker's getting off.
And Aaron Kaczynski.
I can hear the black woman voice inside her mind trying to claw its way out.
The judge, we talked about how the judge had a message to Combs. He did reference the cultural impact that he has had. Also, Combs as an entrepreneur, he referenced what he had done for his community and talking to people. What more did the judge say?
The judge told Sean Combs that his contributions to society were incalculable. And he also said to Combs, quoting here, Mr. Combs, I know you feel you...
So the judge glazes him a little bit first. Cool.
We're in a dark place right now, but these crimes were serious ones. And the judge went on to say...
Sounds like the judge is a P. Diddy fan. He probably listens to his music.
To Combs that you and your family are going to get through this. There is light at the end of the tunnel. The judge clearly wanted...
And thanks to me, it's going to be a very short tunnel.
To express to Combs and his family that he heard their pleas for mercy, their pleas for his immediate release. He said he couldn't do it, but he said there will be time at the end of the term of incarceration where he could make the kinds of contributions to society that Combs swore and others swore on his behalf that he wanted to make. And Whit, if you'll indulge me, I just got a message from Cassie Ventura's attorney, Doug Wigdor, who says that while nothing can undo the trauma caused by Combs, the sentence imposed today recognizes the impact of the serious offenses he committed. We are confident that with the support of her family and friends, Ms. Ventura will continue healing, knowing that her bravery and fortitude have been an inspiration to so many. An immediate reaction from the attorney for Cassie Ventura, Doug Wigdor. She had written to the judge expressing fear of the hold and sway that she believed Combs still had on her life, with telling the judge that she feared that if he were immediately released, he would immediately go after her and her family.
I wouldn't be surprised if people go after her now.
After her painstaking testimony over 4 days of trial.
Yes, expressing that fear of retribution if you were to be set free. Brian Buckmeyer, if you could expand more on the impact on culture and music, and is it possible for somebody like Combs to make a comeback after he's released from prison?
Comeback? Yeah. Yeah, all his fucking Glazers are going to be taking a victory lap on how he basically got away with it.
You know, with most people, I would say no. But as I've followed this case, and even in the podcast that we've done here at ABC, Bad Rap, the case against Diddy, if there was ever a person who had the ability to reinvent themselves over the years and change public perception of themselves, it would be Sean Combs. And so I think the judge said it best. A lifetime of success and helping people are not going to wash away the horrible acts that we saw. The video of Sean Combs brutally assaulting Cassie in that hotel video will forever be a part of his legacy, whatever it may be. I think in terms of what he did, in terms of bringing a genre of music, as well as a cultural sensation towards rap and hip hop and R&B.
You know what AI doesn't do? Beat your ass in the hotel hallway. Just saying.
People that he has brought to the forefront of the music, as well as business acumen, the people who spoke on his behalf. I think they spoke truthfully about who he was. But this was very much a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, that there was almost two sides to this man, that at least I saw, someone who has followed his music from a childhood and also watching this trial. I think
I didn't see two sides of that man. I saw one side, and then I saw a sociopath way of manipulating people publicly in order to mask who he really is. That's what sociopaths do. There's just one side. That's just part of the equation.
The question about what happens now in terms of his impact is, how does he change from this? Are the words that we saw that he put down on that letter for the judge and that he spoke in court truthful, or were they just words in order to evade a greater sentence?
It's the second one. It's the second one.
I don't know. And I think
I do. It's the second one.
we're going to have to wait and see what this term of incarceration holds for him.
He was evading, and it worked.
and especially what happens when he's released.
And Bernarda, I also want to get your take on what this potentially means for victims moving forward and feeling empowered to speak. Because we know that one of the witnesses who was actually supposed to read a victim impact statement today bowed out before sentencing occurred. And then we heard from Cassie Ventura there in that statement, her concern for retribution. I just wonder your final thoughts on what you think that this could mean for victims going forward.
Well, it depends. I mean, for most victims, you can see it this way in the sense of that you had a government, you had a prosecutor's office that was willing to go toe-to-toe with a man as powerful as Sean Diddy Combs, who once had the key to the city, and was willing to back up these victims and believed in these victims and what happened to them and was willing to do the fight. But that
I'm sorry, did we see the same trial? That doesn't describe any of the things I saw, but continue.
And on the flip side, you can say, well, I can be scared because this man has so much power. Look, someone told their story and the jury didn't find him guilty of all the charges, or the sentence was too low despite of all the horrendous acts.
He shouldn't have had a jury trial. I mean, I know you have a right to a jury trial, blah, blah, blah. But I think when you're a public figure as big as him, you're supposed to be able to, you're entitled to have a jury trial from non-biased third-party people. That any juror that could be influenced or could be considered compromised is ineligible to jury or trial. When you're someone as big as him, you're a public figure as big as him, it's almost impossible to find 12 people who don't know who he is and who don't have an opinion of him already. So the jury's gonna just be tainted by default. And it sounds like you got at least enough people in that jury who were fans of him to let him off. I don't think he should have had a jury trial. I think it should have been legal experts, a judge trial where the judge makes the decision. This judge only had to make the sentencing based on what they found guilty. If the judge had to actually decide if he was guilty or innocent, he may have been guiltier of those greater charges. Like, you needed actual law professionals looking at the evidence and coming to an educated conclusion instead of 12 people who have their albums in his car or grew up, rocking his music in high school and shit. I'm sorry, you're just not going to get a non-biased jury for someone as big as him. It's just not going to happen.
That they heard.
That should be the price of fame, is that you don't get the same treatment in court that we get because the same rules of society don't apply to you, and you adjust accordingly. Normal person, you can find 12 people who don't know who this normal person is and can go in blind. It's easy to find 12 people who don't know who the fuck I am if I were to go to court and could look at this from a non-biased perspective of, okay, I'm learning about this guy for the first time. What can you show me? Everybody going into the Diddy trial, every single one of those jurors knew who Diddy was and already had an opinion on him. And it clouded their judgment, in my opinion. I think that's why that makes you ineligible for a jury trial once you reach that level of fame. That's the price of fame. You get to live a life of luxury and be rich, but if you fuck up and you step out of line, well, you don't get a jury trial. You get a judge who understands the law and will look at it from that perspective instead of as a fan of yours. And even then, you still risk the judge maybe secretly being a fan because you're just that famous. But that should just be the cost of fame. That should be the price of being famous.
Through trial. But in the end, what this story says, what the judge says, is what seals this case in the sense that victims were heard with this sentence.
Bernarda.
They were heard and they were laughed out of a courtroom.
Thank you. Aaron Katursky, we've been talking about the verdict a lot, but just give us a sense of the logistics now. Where does Sean Diddy Combs go from here, and what's the next 24 hours like?
The first thing Sean Combs did at the conclusion of court wit was to pause, to turn toward his family, still seated in the gallery, and look at them as if to say it's going to be okay. I was here at an earlier court hearing last week when Combs was given the opportunity to speak directly to his family after everyone else had cleared out. He told them whatever happens, it's going to be okay. He will deal with it. this is not the sentence he wanted, but it may have been the one he was expecting with.
Aaron Katursky and the entire team, thanks so much. Once again, Sean Diddy Combs has been sentenced to 50 months for his 2 convictions on prostitution-related offenses, about 4 years. He'll also get that credit for time served. We're going to return you to...
Okay, so he is getting credit for time served. So he's never seeing the full 4 years.
Regular programming. Our coverage will continue on our streaming channel, ABC News Live and ABC News.
So he's not seeing the full 4 years. He's going to get time served. That's going to knock it down to under 3, to about 3 years. Then good behavior, you can knock it down again. You can knock another year off that. Not to mention any reduced sentence he may get from appeal. And they didn't mention parole, which means he's probably eligible for parole, which will put him out in just a couple months. That's it. Diddy got away with it. It's done. It's done and dusted. He got away with it. They can spin it however they want to spin it, but in reality, that's probably what's going to happen. And he's making all of these appeals to his family. I heard one that he made appeals about how he's even doing good behind bars. He's been teaching other prisoners. He's been an influential figure to them. Teach them what? What have you been teaching other prisoners behind bars? How to buy baby oil in bulk? Jesus fucking Christ, dude. I don't understand how you get this much evidence against a guy. The feds were after him and he gets to... This is a huge L for the feds, man. They had a 99% conviction rate. I guess Diddy really is in the top 1%. Because he didn't get the racketeering conviction. He didn't get what the feds wanted. He got next to nothing. And he's going to be out in next to nothing. Sean Diddy Combs says he is broken in court as judge questions his claims of remorse. And there he is crying and putting on the crocodile tears. I'm seeing the courtroom sketches. This is nonsense. All the fucking Diddy stands, and everybody's gonna be taking a fucking victory lap now. Well, that's it. It's done. It's over. Sean Diddy Combs got away with it. There's gonna be no Epstein files. They're not going to release those. The justice system's fucking broken. There's no justice for the rich and famous. They get away with it. Sean Diddy Combs gets to walk. He'll be home in a few months on parole. They're never going to release the Epstein files. Fucking Harvey Weinstein is chilling out in a resort with tennis pools and with tennis courts and swimming pools. Justice system's a fucking joke, man. Well, there's your update on Sean Diddy Combs, ladies and gentlemen. If you like this video, be sure to like the video down below. If you disliked it, dislike the video down below. Leave your comments. Letting me know what you thought of the Diddy trial. Was the sentencing fair? Do you feel he should have got more? Do you feel he should have got less? Do you feel he's guilty of what they said he was guilty of or not guilty? And subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers so I can make a few shekels off of these YouTube videos. You know, I want my piece of the pie too. We do these live streams every single night. Be sure to hit the bell icon to see when I go live so you can come join and be part of the discussion. And until the next time, thanks for watching this one. I'll see you guys in the next video.